Ladies and gentlemen, what is up, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be talking all about how to farm 5-star characters in Marvel Contest of Champions, which are pretty much the end game at the moment. Everybody's after those 5-star shards, so incredibly thirsty for them, and I wanted to wait until Act 5 came out to actually release this video, and I'm very glad I did, because in the most recent patch 12.0 we got a huge revamp to the arena system, which has kind of really changed kind of the biggest sources that you can get 5-star shards in on a monthly basis, and hopefully throughout this video we're going to educate you in all of the ways that you can farm 5-star shards. Again, farming all of them is very time intensive, so you might want to put focus on specific areas, but you know, this video aims to give you a broad overview of all the various different methods and ways you can go down to get as many 5-star shards as possible. So we're going to start off talking about the new arena system. So you have the 4-star basic and also the 4-star featured arena here. Now, one of the milestones that is fairly easy to get to on a weekly basis is the top 11 to 25%, and this really kind of ties into 4-star farming as well, but getting in this bracket, if it's kind of a featured champion, if it's a new and exciting one, you're probably going to have to go up to about like 1.7 to 2 million plus, but if it's a returning champion, like just hitting the 1.5 million, maybe going a tiny bit over that to 1.6 million, should be plenty sufficient to get you in this bracket. You get 200 5-star shards, which is all we're going to focus on in today's video, so that's kind of the first one. And for a lot of people, especially if you've got an expansive roster, that's like a couple of hours grinding every 3 or so days. It's not super bad. And then we go into the 4-star featured champion, so we're going to look at the ranked rewards for this one. Now, you've kind of got... Oh, sorry, this is not the one we wanted. We want the one with the 5-star shards. There we go. It's the 4-star shards getting me a little bit mixed up there. So in the top 11 to 30%, you have the 200 5-star shards available, and this one's fairly easy to get, especially in an arena that allows you to use 5-star champions if you've already got quite a few of them. Like, the points for using 5-star champions are absolutely insane, so if you can get into this bracket, you can clock, again, a nice stack of 4-star and 5-star shards. You got 200 there. But if you can go a little bit higher than that, maybe reach the final milestone and go a bit beyond, then you go in the top 1 to 10%, which gives you 800 4-star shards or 400 5-star shards. Now, while these may seem like drips and drabs, kind of like on an arena-by-arena basis, they really do add up. If you can get kind of the basic one in 11 to 25% and the 4-star featured to get, you know, 600 5-star shards every round, every 4 weeks, so pretty much every month, that's like half a 10k crystal right there. So it's a lot of shards. You have 4,800, a really decent amount, not to be kind of snuffed over, but again, you do need to kind of allocate the time to doing that. And then if you can reach the 11 to 25% in the basic one, and then you're also going for the featured one, the 1 to 10% in there, then you can get 400 shards every arena round. And again, you might not be able to do this every arena round. I'm just kind of making you aware of what you possibly could do. So that's 3,200 over the course of 4 weeks or 8 arenas. So some pretty good shards there. And finally, if you can only do one of them, that's still like 1,600 shards every 4 weeks. So that's nice to add to the pile. So then the second thing we're going to move on to is Alliance War. Now, this one may be fairly obvious, but over the course of a month, Alliance War, aside from really hardcore arena grinding, is your best way. Being in a very active alliance that's always doing wars is a huge way to gain 5-star shards, because if you can kind of get in those top, it's really like the top 7 tiers that start giving you like the big amount of 5-star shards, but you can get around, it does vary like quite a bit, all the way from like 200 to 500 once you're in those top tiers, but it's 200 to 500 for a win. And then for exploration, you have usually it's anywhere between like 100 to 150, depending on how much you could advance there. So over the course of a month, you know, if you get quite a few Alliance War wins, this could be pretty much, again, half a fully formed 5-star, about 5,000 shards there. But again, with Alliance War, there's a lot of variance in terms of the 5-star shards you're getting. But the biggest part of like being successful at farming 5-star shards in Alliance War is just being in an alliance that's continually pushing for wins and just trying to climb the ladder as much as they possibly can, because that will really help your rate of gain there. So next up we have Alliance events. So there are kind of 3 events in particular that will net you some 5-star shards on a weekly basis. So you have Summoner Advancement, which if you're ranking in a fairly high tier, if you're a fairly active alliance, it's usually just under 500 a week. It's usually about 475 for us, but again, depends where you are at exactly in the game. But everybody's always striving for as many 5-star shards as possible in that one, fairly intuitive. You also have the 3-day events. If you can reach the final rank milestone and get in the top 50% of the ranked rewards, you can unlock the 5-star shards. And it's only like 75 to 100 in most cases. 150 is the top reward, but I believe only one alliance can get that. So on average, it's about 75 to 100. Isn't really too much, but it's a nice to have. You know, 300 or so extra shards every couple of weeks. It ain't too bad. It ain't too bad. And then finally we have the Alliance quest. So if you're doing like map 5 and above, 5 days a week, you can get 200 additional 5-star shards there. So it isn't a huge amount, but it's worth mentioning as well. Now next up we have duplicating a 4-star, and this is where the piece of advice which never sell a 4-star champion kind of really comes into full effect, especially when you're looking at some of the endgame players and top alliances. So if you get a regular dupe, if you get a second copy of a 4-star champion, that is 275 shards. However, if you dupe a max level dupe character, so if I was to get an additional copy of a Scarlet Witch, despite the fact having a dupe level 99, you get a max signature ability crystal, which will most likely contain another 275 star shards there. Sorry, 275 5-star shards. So pretty much in effect, like 95% of the time, it will double the amount of 5-star shards you get there. So it's something to bear in mind, is eventually you're probably going to get to that level with every character. If you've been playing for like maybe a couple of years, maybe a little bit longer on that, it really depends how kind of dedicated you are to grinding out new characters in the arena. But you'll get to that level where you start having that, and that's where a lot of the kind of endgame players, you see them going for pretty much almost every featured champion, because every 4-star that they're pulling, and maybe they're pulling like 2 or 3 on a weekly basis, maybe even a little bit more than that, is giving them just so many 5-star shards. So they got a lot of stuff going on there, but the point is never sell a 4-star champion. Just keep on striving and striving to expand your collection as much as possible, and that's where the arena grind kind of coincides as well, because as well as those ranked rewards, you're also getting more premium hero crystals, and while on average it's probably like 1 in 50, 1 in 100 that you'll get that 4-star champion, it's just etching you that little bit closer to kind of being at a level where you're kind of, just pulling these 4-star dupes, getting a crazy amount of shards, so you can build up to the 5-star ones a little bit faster. Now, next up we have the monthly events. So monthly heroic exploration and master exploration, they're both 500. Fairly obvious stuff there, but it's worth mentioning as well. Just make sure you do those on a monthly basis. There's a ton of other rewards bundled in there, but yeah, just try and maximize those and get them done each month. And then finally, we have first-time clears. Well, penultimately, I'd say. We got another little bullet point there. So first-time clears, Act 4. If you 100% it, you will get a total of 5,000 shards. So that's pretty good. Act 4, if you haven't already done it, is significantly easier than it was before the patch, providing you can evade and parry well. There aren't really too many challenges left in it anymore. So I would just say absolutely decimate that and rake in a ton of 5-star shards there. It's a pretty good option. Then you also have Act 5, so only the first chapter at the moment is available, and that rewards 1,000, so it's 400 for completion and 600 for exploration, so it's a total of 1,000 there. You've also got Road to the Labyrinth, more specifically Chapter 4, but that will give you 1,000 shards as well. Now, we move on to the next 2 points, which where you start getting pretty big amount of 5-star shards, and this is how we've been able to open so many crystals, so many featured hero crystals, I think is a big chunk of this. So Labyrinth of Legends, the first clear you do, will give you 20,000 5-star shards, so a lot of shards on offer there for the initial clear. But then between clear 1 and the final clear, and I think there are about 7 to 8 clears depending on which paths you take, You don't get anything, but when you 100% it, you will get 45,000 shards. So that's a chance at like 3 featured hero crystals. You're probably going to get something pretty good, unless you're that guy that pulled the 3 Ant-Mans out of the 3 Iceman crystals, in which case, feels pretty bad, man. But yeah, that's probably worth mentioning as well, but that is a very, very tough thing to conquer for a lot of people, and that will cost you a boatload of cash, so not really fussed about that myself for the foreseeable future, but everything else ain't too bad. Like, the initial Labyrinth of Legends run is significantly easier than it was. It's still a massive challenge, still will take you a lot of units, but it's significantly easier than it was before the patch, so that ain't too bad. And then aside from all of these ways to get 5-star shards, you also have additional stuff that gets rotated in occasionally. So some months we've seen Master Mode rifts, and generally when these come around, like 2 or 3 of them are available just via playing the game. And then via a unit offer or some additional offer, you can maybe get 1 or 2 more. So it's always a good idea to maybe save up your units for those Master Rift offers. Always have a nice stack of units sitting by instead of just buying like 150 unit featured hero crystals and premiums. So that's something to potentially save up for there, because Master Mode rifts have come around twice. I think it's pretty likely that we'll see another set of them in the next few months. So make sure you have kind of additional units saved up if you want another run at those, because potentially they can be a fully formed 5-star in the Master Rift, or it could be, I think, like 4,000 5-star shards is like the second best 5-star offer. Then you get like 2,000 and 3,000 ones, so there's a lot of 5-star shards available in those rifts. They're really, really good. And finally, we've seen a lot of 5-star shards in various logging calendars. We've seen one in the Act 5 run-up logging calendar, in the Chinese New Year logging calendar, in the Christmas logging calendar. So a lot of the event calendars around various special occasions, they seem to be giving out 5-star shards quite generously. So again, that's something to kind of keep in mind there. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this guide to farming 5-star characters. Again, for a lot of people, some of this stuff is really, really obvious, but I just wanted to make a video kind of aimed at beginners and people who are looking to progress, to make sure they cover all of the bases when farming their 5-star characters. And I wanted to share a little bit of my advice in between that. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to leave a like. That'd be greatly appreciated. Apart from that, thank you for watching, take care, and have an absolutely fantastic day.